What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. And it is Thursday, back on schedule. Today, I'm going to be uploading my Week 14 predictions, or basically my conference decided this week. So many fantastic games. 10 games I'm going to be covering for you guys. There's technically 11. You got Cal USC on after all the championship games are over. 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Fox Sports 1. Probably say... Gosh, I really don't know who wins that game. I'm going to go ahead and go with USC. Why not? Go with USC to win that one. But I'm going to be previewing, predicting every conference championship game for you guys here today. So with that being said, thanks so much for clicking on the video. If you want to see more content from me, you want to see me cover the playoff, my opinion on it, things like that, please like, subscribe, comment, do anything you can, help support the channel. If you want, it definitely would mean a lot to me if you would do that. And without further ado, let's go ahead and preview, predict every conference championship game, even the group of 5 ones. Yeah, we're going to even talk about the group of 5 ones because those are still some interesting games. We're actually going to start off with the group of 5 one. It's going to be played on Thursday, or not Thursday, excuse me. On Friday, there's also another one on Friday. It's the Conference USA Championship game between Western Kentucky, UTSA. As a reminder, all times you see are in Eastern Standard Time, and all lines and odds are as of recording this video. They are subject to change. But Western Kentucky opens as the 3-point favorite over UTSA, a team that has been very surprising this year, but you also almost feel like it's been kind of just surviving, right? We saw it last week with the blowout loss to North Texas. Will this be another one of those games? They get the home field advantage. It's going to be played in San Antonio. This game is at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the CBS Sports Network. These two teams did play already in the regular season, and UTSA escaped with a narrow win, a goal line stop situation in the first one here. UTSA won 52-46. It was a very good, close, back-and-forth game. And defense was pretty optional in their first meeting of the season. But pass defense is going to need to be the key here in this one, especially for the Roadrunners. Western Kentucky is one of the best passing attacks in the nation because they have one of the better quarterbacks in the nation in terms of passing yards per game, and that's Bailey Zappi. He's got a guy by the name of Jareth Stearns. He's very, very good, loves to throw the ball to him, gets around 10 receptions a game on around 15 targets a game. He's fantastic. Western Kentucky is a team that absolutely can light up the scoreboard, but we've seen UTSA can as well. And because of one guy, Sincere McCormick, you have Frank Harris playing quarterback for them as well. I think that's a very, very, and I've said this before, I think UTSA has the most underrated wide receiver, quarterback, running back trio in the entire nation. Of course, you have Frank Harris, Zachary Franklin, and then Sincere McCormick, who I have as a what to watch for because, again, Sincere McCormick is a phenomenal running back. He's going to make the difference here in this game. Again, neither of these defenses were really able to stop each other's offense in the last game. And I expect a little bit more of the same. I expect the defense to be a little bit better, come up with a little more stops. But I think behind the home field advantage, behind the home crowd, UTSA on the biggest stage in program history is going to get the win. And I think we'll get a 12-win season. I have UTSA winning 41-37. Again, don't keep in mind the final score. It's a fun thing you can pay attention to if you want. But I have them winning 41-37. This should be an interesting game to watch. Again, 7 o'clock Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Now moving on to the Power 5 game that is being played on Friday. And this is the one that everyone is going to have their eye on Friday. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on ABC. It's the Pac-12 Championship being played this year in Las Vegas, Nevada. And it features a rematch of just a couple weeks ago. We got the 10th-ranked Oregon Ducks, the 17th-ranked Utah Utes for Pac-12 glory. Oregon has won many, I believe 6 or 7 straight Pac-12 titles. It's going to be someone new this year. Oregon, I believe, has won the past 5 or 6. Not 6 or 7, 5 or 6, because, again, Washington won it back then. But Oregon and Utah, this should be a fun one. Utah opens as a 2.5-point favorite, as they did on their home turf. And speaking of the home turf game, it was not a fun day if you were an Oregon Ducks fan watching that game play Utah. First off, you saw your team knocked out pretty much of college football playoff contention, but it was also just a beating. Utah absolutely demolished Oregon. They beat them by 31 on their home turf, but this is not home turf. This is Las Vegas, Nevada. It's going to be a neutral site game. I expect the crowd split to be around 50-50, maybe 60-40 in favor of Oregon, but Utah fans like to travel well. The only difference in this game with Oregon is it is the biggest stage, and they play well on the biggest stages, but Anthony Brown has to be a difference maker in this game. He could do virtually nothing against this Utah team. Absolutely nothing. He has to play. He has to play better in this game if Oregon is going to want to have a chance to win, and I think he does. I think Anthony Brown comes out here. Maybe doesn't play the best game of his season, but he has a solid enough game where Oregon can have a chance. Again, you'll get my prediction here in a little bit. But the one thing that Utah had that Oregon did not in that first game was the physicality. Oregon can be a very physical team, of course, with the defensive players they have, Thibodeau and Sewell and Flo and all those guys. But Utah is a very, very physical team led by linebacker Devin Lloyd, who is absolutely fantastic. And again, this game vying for a spot in the Rose Bowl. And if you're Oregon, likely if you get chaos, maybe playoff. But again, such an outside impossible odds thing. But this fourth shot in the Rose Bowl, this is huge. Oregon has been to the Rose Bowl before. I can't remember the last time Utah has been to the Rose Bowl, if ever. I'm pretty sure they've gone before. But this should be another intriguing game. It's going to be an exciting one to watch. I think Utah is going to come out with a fast start. They're going to get their physicality working. They're going to be able to bully Oregon. But I do think that in the end, the Oregon Ducks will pull out this win. I've been saying it for the past week or so now. I feel like Oregon's going to win the rematch versus Utah because they play best when the lights shine brightest. And I think that Oregon will come out here. Utah's going to get off to a fast start. Maybe they're up at the start of, or maybe they're up at halftime. But I do think Oregon comes back, finds a way to win this game, and gets another Pac-12 championship on their way to the Rose Bowl. All right, games that are being played on Saturday now. We're going to start with the MidAmerican. The MAC championship going to be played on Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. It's a noon game on ESPN. It features the Kent State Golden Flashes and the Northern Illinois Huskies. Two pretty good seasons for these teams. They have met before on Kent State's home field not too long ago, and Kent State won that one, much to the degree of the Western Kentucky UTSA game. They won that one 52-47. And again, defense was optional in that game. But this Kent State offense is a different beast. It's very, very good. And Kent State just likes holding on to the football. They like their offense out on the field, and that's what I'm excited to watch. This Huskies defense has been up and down this year, but for the most part, it's been pretty good. But the Flashes have a very flashy offense, so I'm excited to watch and see how that battle kind of shakes out. But the Huskies' run game on both sides of the ball, their defensive run game, again, has been up and down, but their offensive run game has been pretty solid this year. And it was able to do a lot against this Kent State defense the first time around. The only thing that Northern Illinois would have to do in order to change the thing, or in order to switch the result from this year's other performance against this team, is they got to throw the football a little bit more. They were able to rush the ball for quite a bit against Kent State. They got to be able to open up the passing attack and sling the ball down field. I think this is going to be a very highly offensive game. You see the over-under there is at 74.5 offensive game, but I do see the Huskies coming out with the Mid-American Championship game. Kent State's defense is not that great. Northern Illinois' defense is a little bit better. I give them the edge there. I think they adjust, they learn from their first performance. It's hard enough to beat a team once. It's very hard to beat a team twice. And I think Northern Illinois comes out here and wins this game. You can apply that same logic to the Oregon-Utah game. Hard enough to beat a team once, especially a team like Oregon, but it's really hard to beat them twice. And I think both Oregon and Northern Illinois get their revenge in the bigger stage. All right. Moving on now to the Big 12 championship game. Hey, this one should be a lot of fun. Again, played in AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Noon game on ABC, and it features the Baylor Bears and Oklahoma State Cowboys. Yeah, no Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game this year. Of course, because it's the Big 12 they played before. Their first matchup, Baylor 14, Oklahoma State 24. The Pokes ended up winning by 10. Oklahoma State's the 5.5-point favorite here, and they're vying for a spot in the college football playoff. This is a team that can absolutely make the playoff this year, and with a convincing win here, you're more than likely in the playoff field. Again, you're rooting for Georgia as well. We'll preview that game later. But anyway, these two teams' first matchup came quite a bit ago, and it was Oklahoma State beating Baylor again, as I've mentioned. But Oklahoma State turned the ball over 3 times in that game, and since that game against Oklahoma State, Baylor's defense has done a really good job of capitalizing off turnovers. They've been able to force the turnovers, and then the offense has been able to go out there and capitalize. Now, Gary Bohannon, not quite sure if he's going to be at 100% in this game, but it looks like he is going to be that starter for the Baylor Bears in this game. And I'm excited to see him versus Spencer Sanders, because Gary Bohannon, he's had a pretty good season this year. Spencer Sanders, he's had an okay season. It's nothing spectacular. It's nothing that'll make you really be like, wow, okay. Definitely not as good as last year, not his best year as an Oklahoma State Cowboy, but it's been good enough, right? And the offense has been playing good complementary football to this defense that is outstanding, that gets to the quarterback, that gets pass rush. They're going to make Gary Bohannon's life very difficult. But the one thing that both these teams have to do is limit turnovers. Baylor cannot turn the ball over against this Oklahoma State defense. It's just too good. But this Baylor defense has gotten a lot better. Oklahoma State's offense cannot turn the football over. And if it does, it could be in for a long day. And Oklahoma State likes to control the pace of play as well. And I think Oklahoma State comes out and wins this game here. I think it's a pretty exciting game, but I really think that this game is not in any sort of doubt. Yeah, the game will probably be close throughout, but I don't really think there's going to be a question about who wins this one. And I think that's Oklahoma State. I think they win this one 23-20 against. Again, Oklahoma State does not score a whole ton of points. They just score what they have to win. And I think that 23 points going to be enough to beat this Baylor team. Again, Baylor's played well on offense this year as well. So we'll see what happens in this one. But I'm rooting for the Pokes. And I think with this win, they likely make the college football playoff. All right, moving on now. We got the Mountain West Championship game here. I'm actually pretty excited to watch this one. It's going to be played in Carson, California, home of the San Diego State Aztecs, as they are featured here. 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Fox. South Dakota State is the favorite by 6.5. And it's also going to be featuring the Utah State Aggies, who come out of that other division in the Mountain West Conference. And they're going to be looking to make a statement here and beat a San Diego State team that has been pretty good for most of this season. These two teams did not play in the regular season. But let's look at some keys on how both these teams can win this game. Again, what to watch for. The Aggies offense versus the Aztecs defense. Look, this Aggie offense at Utah State has been really good. Really, really good this year. Highlighted by Devin Tompkins, a fantastic wide receiver. Of course, they got the transfer quarterback Logan Bonner over from Arkansas State. He's worked wonders for that defense, or for that offense. But this Aztec defense, it's something else. The Aztec defense, again, not comparatively speaking, the defense of like Wisconsin, Iowa, Georgia, especially, but it's still a very, very good and compatible defense that is capable of taking over a game. And it needs to, because the Aztec offense does not like to play from behind. We saw that happen in the Fresno State game, right? Fresno State got up early. They were able to get out to a big advantage against San Diego State early, and this offense just could not come from behind. They cannot play from behind. So in order for Utah State to win this game, they're going to need to rack up points quickly and make San Diego State try to come back and win this game. But the Aggies' run defense has been pretty okay this year. Now, it hasn't been great, but again, San Diego State does a lot of their offensive work on the ground and pound, running the football. So this game, pretty excited to watch. Should be pretty interesting, but I just think San Diego State's defense has been too good this year. I think they win this one 27-21, and San Diego State going to be your winners of the Mountain West Conference. At least that is my prediction. Moving on now here to the Sun Belt. This game is going to be played at 3:30 on ESPN. Going to be played in Lafayette, Louisiana, home of the Ragin' Cajuns, and they are a team featured here in this one. They're going to be playing the App State Mountaineers, and some storylines to watch here in this one. Louisiana absolutely demolished App State in their first meeting of the season, 41-13. It was an absolute thrashing. But also App State, you could kind of feel like had an off game. They are the 3-point favorite. They are the 3-point favorites here against the 24th ranked Ragin' Cajuns. But the Cajuns have been looking very good since the game against Texas to start off the season. Minor setback. And again, going into Liberty, that was supposed to be a challenge for them. They came away with 6 turnovers on the road. Crazy things happen in college football, let me tell you. But Louisiana App State, look, this should be a fun game, but I'm interested to see how Noel and Peoples run against this Ragin' Cajuns run defense that has been pretty good, and they like to control the pace on the run side of the ball. Now, when these two teams first met, App State just got off to a slow start. They played a very sloppy game, turnovers, and Louisiana absolutely took advantage of all of those mistakes. They were turning the ball over. They were sloppy. Their defense wasn't able to get going. Louisiana basically bullied App State all game long in App State's second loss of the year. Of course, their first loss being to Miami by very, very close. But I think the biggest key for both these teams in this game is you have to win the turnover battle. Louisiana's done a very good job of that in weeks past, and App State has also done a good job of that in weeks past. So I think whichever team wins the turnover battle here is very, very likely to win this game. Now, the biggest storyline out of this one is this. How is Billy Napier going to coach this team with all of his players and staff knowing that he is leaving for Florida? He is coming to coach in this Sun Belt Championship game. I have no idea if he's going to be able to coach, or I have no idea if he's going to coach the bowl game or not. Probably not, but he is coaching his team through this Sun Belt title game, and I think that's enough. I think this Louisiana team is going to rally behind their head coach. It's the final game under him potentially, and I think Louisiana, while this matchup is a lot closer than the first one, I still think that the Ragin' Cajuns get the win and are Sun Belt champions. 28-24, my final game prediction. All right, let's move on here to the American Athletic. This game is going to be at 4 o'clock on ABC. You got the American Athletic Championship game here, going to be played in Cincinnati, Ohio, in Nippert Stadium. Houston, 21st ranked team in the nation. Cincinnati, 4th ranked team in the nation. This one should be a lot of fun. Cincinnati is the 10.5 point favorite, and let me tell you why. The Bearcats are very, very close to getting into the college football playoff. In fact, a convincing win here almost solidifies their spot in the college football playoff. But what I'm really interested to watch is this. Cincinnati, they have that win over Notre Dame, and it's Notre Dame's only loss this year, and it's going to be Notre Dame's only loss in the regular season, of course, because Notre Dame not part of a conference. But this Houston defense is tenacious. It's fast. It has a lot of good playmakers, and it's unlike any defense Cincinnati has seen since that Notre Dame game in, what was it, week 4, was it? So very, very important here for Cincinnati, for Desmond Ridder and company to really get this offense moving, to really get out and score some points. But the Cougars love to play with pace. Cincinnati is a defensive-minded team that likes to make you play their style of game. Well, Houston, I don't think is going to mind that too much because they like having the football. They hold it for almost 33 minutes a game. They like to hog the football. So while I expect Houston to win time of possession here in this one, I do think that Cincinnati, playing behind Luke Fickell, is going to come out and win this game. This, I think, besides Notre Dame, is going to be their toughest test of the year, and I think they win a very close game. I think Desmond Ridder gets it done. 28-27 is my final score prediction, and Cincinnati likely sees themselves as a player in the college football playoff. What a storyline this team has been to follow. Let's see if they can close it out on Saturday. All right, now to the game that everyone's been waiting for, Georgia and Alabama, number 1 versus number 3. Georgia's 6.5 point favorite. This is the 4 o'clock game on CBS, and a huge game this is. wow, this matchup just, I mean, honestly, I expected to see it this year, but now that it's actually here, man, this is going to be some fun football to watch here. Interested to watch this. Sorry, I had to deal with that. What I'm very curious to watch about in this game, the Dogs defense. They haven't really been able to play a team that, well, has scored this year, right? Has really been able to come out and punch them in the mouth. Tennessee, sure, pretty solid offense, but Georgia didn't have to play Ole Miss. They didn't have to play Mississippi State. They didn't even have to play Bama in the regular season. So now that they're playing Bama now, how does this Dogs defense deal with the Tide offense that can put a lot of points up on the board? So can Georgia, but all Georgia has offense has been able to do is play good complementary football. I'll talk more about that later. But speaking of Georgia's offense, is Stetson Bennett really the guy? I know a lot of people believe that this Georgia defense is one of the best defenses ever. I believe that. But are you confident that Stetson Bennett is the guy that is going to bring home an SEC championship to the Georgia faithful? That is a question to be answered as well. He has looked like the guy for the better half of the second half of the second half of the season. But for Stetson Bennett, for this man, he's going to need to play a very good game because this Bama defense is still good. Now, let's talk about complementary play. Again, Georgia's defense has been outstanding this year. It's the best defense in the nation by a long shot. All this Georgia offense has had to do all season is play good complementary football. Alabama will need to play good complementary football as well, except on the opposite end. We know this Bama team is going to score points. Their defense has to step up and make some plays as well. But I think Georgia's defense is just too good. We know Bama can score, and they're going to get points up on the board. They're going to be the first team to eclipse 20 against Georgia. But this Georgia defense is just too good. I see this Georgia team winning 31-23, knocking Bama out of the playoff field and solidifying Georgia's spot as the number one team in the nation with an SEC title. Couple more here for you. We got the ACC championship game going to be played in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is an 8 o'clock game on ABC. It's going to be featuring not Clemson. We got the Pitt Panthers and the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. This one should be a lot of fun. Pitt favored by 3. But why does this one should be a lot of fun? This is going to be yet another offensive game. We got Kenny Pickett on one side, Sam Hartman on the other. Let the fireworks begin. Both of these quarterbacks have been absolutely fantastic this year, and both of these defenses are going to have to get pressure to the quarterbacks to force them off balance. Both of these squads have great wide receiver groups. When you look at Pitt, you think of guys like Jordan Addison. When you think of Wake Forest, you think of guys like Jaquari Roberson and A.T. Perry. Some very good playmakers on both sides. So along with getting quarterback pressure, you got to be able to cover those wide receivers if you are both of these defenses. And speaking of defense, the defense that makes the biggest play in this game maybe gets the extra turnover, the stop on fourth down, the goal line stand is going to win this game. Now, I think this is going to be an offensive showdown. I think this is one of those games where defense is optional. This is the Wake Forest team that has scored 70 points in 17 minutes of having the football. This is the Pitt offense that seemingly as well can score at will. Two of the best offenses in the nation, led by two of the better quarterbacks we've seen so far in the nation as well. And you know what? I trust Pitt's defense just a little bit more. I think Pitt is going to be that defense that gets the extra stop. Wake Forest defense has not been impressive this year. Pitt's defense has played some good games at times. And I think Pitt, along with Kenny Pickett, Jordan Addison, this offense as well, I think Pitt is the team that is going to come out of the ACC with the title. So Pittsburgh, I think you guys are going to go home with an ACC championship. And the final game previewing here for you. I know video's a little longer than usual, but it's conference championship week. It's a big week. Michigan and Iowa in the Big Ten championship. So for the first time in quite some time, I believe for the first time in 5 years, Ohio State will not be winning the Big Ten. It'll be one of these two schools. Will it be Ohio State's rival, or will it be the Iowa Hawkeyes? Couple things to watch for in this one, as this is the 8 o'clock game on Fox. Probably going to be the game to round out the night. Lucas Oil Stadium, always a great place to go watch some football. The Wolverines' rushing offense torched Ohio State last week, especially Hassan Haskins. Can this Hawkeye defense keep up with that? This Hawkeye defense has been good. It's been pretty good this year, but can it keep up? Will it be able to keep up with this Michigan rushing attack? That's something to watch for there. And can whoever plays quarterback for Iowa, can Spencer Petras or Alex Padilla handle the pass rush? Because that was another thing that bothered Ohio State when they played Michigan, was the pass rush. And this Michigan pass rush has been fantastic all year. Hutchinson, Ojabo, other guys around there as well. They have been such big parts of this Michigan defense, a defense that can defend the pass okay, but it also Iowa does not pass the ball that well. They're mainly a running-based team. So what Iowa's going to have to do is they're going to have to control the lines in this game. That offensive line is going to need to be able to create some push, get Hutchinson or Ojabo out of the way, make way for Tyler Goodson to be able to run the football for around 150 yards in this game. But also their defensive line. They're going to need to stand up, make some plays for Iowa to stop Hassan Haskins, and I just don't think it's going to happen. This Michigan team has been very impressive this year, and they played their most impressive performance against Ohio State last week, and I think that continues into this week. Not a lot of points in this one, pretty defensive game, but Michigan, I think, is pretty much on the cusp of going out here and embarrassing the Iowa Hawkeyes. I think they win this one 28-17. Pretty good win here or really good win here for Michigan. And I think they're going to get to go to their first ever bid in the college football playoff. And that is going to do it. There are my conference championship game predictions. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you think you're going to win conference championships this year. Remember to play hard, tailgate harder. I will see all you guys tomorrow. We're going to go through some playoff scenarios, some easy, some chaotic, what each team needs to do to make the playoff. We're going to go through all that tomorrow. I will see all of you guys when that time comes. Goodbye.